Hey, what's up everyone? Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye here. It's pretty much wedding season right now in 2017, whenever you're watching this. And I just wanted to give some tips on how to prepare for a wedding. I'm not going to show you a wedding shoot or anything in this video, but I wanted to give you the realistic, raw, real-world tips on how to prepare for a wedding, because I don't see a lot of this stuff online. So maybe some of the stuff I do can help you out, so that way you feel the utmost prepared you can for this wedding that you're about to photograph. So just sit back. I'm not going to get too crazy with this. Let's just go over all the details. A little of this might be common sense, but it might not be. If not, I might connect the dots for some of you. But one of the first things you're going to do after you're getting the wedding is actually speak to your clients, be it friends, outside people, you never know. But seriously, make sure that you speak to them on the phone, not just through emails or text. It's very important that they hear you, get all your questions addressed and answered, and that they can have their answers as well, their questions answered as well from you as the photographer. So you speak with your clients in person, get the layout of the day, ask everything that you need, and make sure to take notes. And I either take a notebook with me or a couple pieces of paper, and I get all of the information that I need, which I'll cover in a second as well. But make sure you speak to your clients. It's very important to get everything that you need about what's going on and how you want to handle everything. The other part, besides the initial meeting and everything like that, is to stay in touch every month, every other month, all depending on how long you have till the wedding, to figure out if there's any adjustments or changes or anything that you need. And especially in regards to deposit, signing the contract, how's the payment going to be? Do you want to do a thirds? Do you want to do a half? You get half up front, you get half at the wedding, you get half at the wedding, and you get half when you deliver, or do you get paid in full? That can vary a little bit, but make sure you have that in the contract, but make sure you get a deposit on the day. It's very important, so that way you get paid for the work you do. And if they cancel or something like that, you're not screwed and you may have missed out on a job. You know, keep that in mind and let them know that as well. Then that's a good selling point, because there are a lot of people out there that scam like that, knowing the day is going to be long, and they try to get more money out of the client. I'm just not a fan of that proposal. But realize how big is the wedding going to be? What's the estimated size? It's important to know that, so that way you know what you're going into. You know maybe some of the lenses that you'll need. If it's a big groomsman, bride's party, or everything like that, it's going to be important if you may need that extra ultra wide angle lens to get something that you might not be able to in smaller situations. Shot list. What do they want? Is there any unique shots that they request? I have a shot list that I can send to them. It's blank. With just some suggestions, and it could be a checklist on things, and a lot of it's your typical family stuff. But then sometimes it's like, well, I want a first look with the groom, and maybe the first look with the bride's father as well, which this past weekend when I'm shooting this, we actually had both, which is rare. You don't normally get both. But it's important to know what are the unique details on the day. What are the list of events? What are we doing? Let's schedule this out. Let's get all of that out in the open, so that way we could be on track as best we can be. But if you shot weddings before, you know things don't necessarily stick to the time. You're usually half hour, 45 minutes off. And also what's being left out. So for example, we didn't have a cake cutting. We didn't have the normal traditional first dances for the most part in this past wedding that I had. And it's important to know, so that way you compare, so you know that you're kind of missing out on those guaranteed shots that you get, but you can adjust for something later, maybe suggest something fun down the line. But that's the whole point of this, is communication and suggesting things and hearing what they want. It's a team effort at this point. So be it if you really have a kick-ass bride, sometimes they put together a good Excel sheet or anything like that. But if not, make one of your own of all the physical addresses, who are the contacts, and what's the schedules like in a schedule or something like that. I love to have physical copies of this, because I don't really pull out my phone throughout the day, because I just don't have time to. I don't have time to deal with it unless my back is killing me and I have 5 seconds to hunch over and do something. I think it's important to have all that info down. Know who to contact, so that way when, if you're at the bride, that your second shooter has access to either the groom or the groom's mother at the hotel that they're staying out in separate places, so that way they can get a contact to go shoot them, is what they need to do. But I say get physical copies and bring those. It's very, very important, at least to me. The other thing, once again, involves calling up your second shooter or your assistants or whatever you need. On every wedding, I guaranteed will 100% of the time bring a second shooter, because I think it's essential. They're there to get the shots that you missed, to get alternative shots, to go shoot a group that you can't because you're doing something. And the other important part is your targeting, that normally the first shooter sticks with the bride, the second shooter sticks a lot with the groom and what they're doing, and you could cover a lot of things going on at once. If someone's concentrating just on the couple, especially at the reception, the second shooter can go out and get the candids and get the group shots of everything, so that way you guys can cohesively work together. Especially if you're outside on a bright sunny day, the second shooter can also become the assistant and really hold the flash, the softbox to really help fight very harsh sunlight and everything like that. But when you're having this conversation, once again, talk to this person. If you got to Skype, meet in person, talk on the phone, talk for a while. Give them the layout of the day. Provide all the details. Email or send them this physical shot sheet or, contact info so they know everything that is going on. And also it's important to see what they're shooting with, especially if you haven't maybe used this person before. What gear did they have? Knowing what's going on. One of my friends, Steve, who's also who I use as a second shooter, he's got the Nikon D800 or D810, very large file sizes, so I know I have to bring different hard drives if I want to copy those photos over, compared to my other friend, Dan, who second shoots with me as well, who has the D600, D610, and they're more manageable file sizes. So know what gear is being used. Maybe your second shooter has the 70 to 200, so you don't have to own one, and you can share and swap and play with gear there to get the job done that you need. And then it really comes down to you. Make sure you have what you need. Make sure your gear is ready. If you need to rent something, if you need to buy something, go do it. Make sure you have a backup camera body, a backup flash or something, so that way if something becomes defective that you are not screwed and you could go out and get what you need. Make sure you've got extra batteries, especially if you're shooting Sony. A lot of the stuff churns through. Battery-wise, Nikon I've had the best luck with in regards to batteries. I can shoot on one battery on the D750 and it won't even be half dead, even if I'm shooting for like 13 hours. Make sure you have everything that you need and it's proper before you go, because if you got to rent or buy something, it's got to get to you before your shoot day. The other thing before the big day is I'd also recommend contacting the venue to make sure of regulations or restrictions that they have, especially if it's a church. Some don't allow flash photography, which is crazy in my opinion. I grew up, I've been around a lot of churches and everything like that. Normally it's not an issue, but some do. If you use flash, the priests I've seen one time stop a ceremony to warn about it, and then you're left with some bad noisy shots because you've got no damn choice. So make sure the regulations of everything, make sure that what the venue's comfortable with, that they have your insurance information if it's required or something like that. The other thing to that is to just know what's going on. Maybe if there's a certain dress code that some of these places have, to know, but to make sure you do your research about the venue. Maybe there's something that you've never seen before. So look online, see what there is, know what's going to go on, know some of the popular areas and everything so you're not going in blind. And if you can go location scout, I would absolutely recommend going in person to see these type of venues. So with all that being said, I know this became a longer video, but you are essentially ready for your shoot day. Just know also that if there's parking issues or tolls or anything, you get all that stuff down the line. But this is how I prep mentally, physically, and everything for a wedding day. If I got to go to a chiropractor because I've got a pinched nerve, I'm doing that so I know I can shoot that weekend, especially if it's days away. It's happened before, but that's how you prep for a wedding. That's at least how I do my business. I'm sure there's other ways out there, and if you can, share those down below. But if this video helped you out in any way, I appreciate you sticking around. Give this a quick like. It really helps, really helps me out, helps this video out, and hopefully will help out a lot of people out there who really want to know how to prepare for weddings as they're getting into wedding photography. And maybe I just taught you a different tip or two to get you prepared. But let me know your thoughts down below on some of the stuff that you do to prepare for weddings that I may have left out. Let me know. Subscribe for more videos. I do a lot of this stuff, and I like to keep it as real as I can, because that's the only way that I can teach myself things and to help someone else out there if they have a question about something. Thank you so much for watching. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye. This is important stuff. Make sure you're prepared. It's a very important day, and it's an honor to capture for someone.